And welcome to video 34 on PHP programming. And today we're going to actually look up hooking up our 3D calculator. Last time what we did, we built the interface for the 3D calculator. We added our PHP and we got all the buttons in the right place. Today what we're going to do is discuss the service code that's been generated automatically for us a little bit by the data wizard. Complete the connectivity and turn it into 3D. Now in Flash Builder you automatically have 3D. I'm going to show you how so easily to use some of the built-in functions to make it 3D. No problem. So let's go back to Flash Builder and discuss the service classes. So let's just go through the process again. You go to Data, go to Connect to Data Services, click on PHP, and hit Next. And then navigate to the your calculator files, and those are in Updated Calculator, right? And then click on the Updated Calculator PHP and hit Next. And when you do that, all these service objects are created. And I want to show you basically what's actually happening in the code on this side. So once again, just to review, this came from the Updated Calculator class, which inherited all the methods from the basic or simple calculator. So we'll go ahead and hit Finish. And when you hit Finish, it's actually creating the service. And this is fantastic because this is a bunch of automatically generated classes that enables Flash Builder to talk to the PHP on the server. So now if you take a look and see what's been generated is this folder right here, Services Updated Calculator. Let's go ahead and take a look at that folder and see what's in it. So click on it. And you have two classes. You have the super class and you just have the class that you can change. And if you click on the class you can change, for example, there's not much in it. This is stub code for using inheritance to create your own updated calculator, which extends the super updated calculator class. Let's take a look at that class right there. It's the super updated calculator class that has all the code in it. So let's click on that. And if you scroll down there, you start to recognize some of these methods that we created: square root, addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So all the code that we need here to talk to the server is here. And you actually have these token methods right here are very important because since they're going to pass and return tokens from the server. So you have one for each one of the methods that you saw generated by the data wizard. So all this code generated for you automatically. You didn't have to type a line of code. And what's nice about this is you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. Adobe Flash Builder will create this code all for you automatically. So now let's hook all this code up and get it running. Get this system talking to our PHP server. So I'm just going to start pasting some code and explaining what it. So the first thing I need to do is get all the call responders working so PHP can essentially transfer the results back to Flash Builder. And to get the call responders functioning, one easy trick is just to go to Data and go to Generate Form. And when you do that, up comes this form right here, and you have this service call, and you have several objects that you can create. Here's the add object, and if you pan down here, the divide object, the screwed object, the subtract object. So you have to basically create these 5 objects. Let's just start with the add. So when I click on add, hit next, and see here's your 2 value objects. It's going to set that up for you, and hit finish. What it's actually done is created some code for me right here. Now this is stub code that I'm going to use. It turns out this is not going to be very useful as far as programming the calculator, but as far as generating the call responder, that's exactly what I've done. So if I go to the source code now, just take a look at what's happened here. I'll zip up a little bit and you see the call responder for addition has been created. So you can see in this process that the call responder was generated, and in addition I've also got some other stub code right here that enables me to put in some values, value 1 and value 2, and send that to the server through a token. So the entire process has been created. When this function is fired, click on this, update calculator goes. That goes to the server, creates the result that I need, and the result comes back through the result handler. And what I need to do now this time, I'm just getting back a single result. Return is only one value. So I need to put that not into an array collection because I'm not returning an array anymore, but just into a simple string. So let's go back to design view. And what I'm going to do now is go back to data and use this generate form to rapidly create all the required stub code that I need for this calculator. So I already did addition. You want to do subtraction. We can do it in order if you want. There's my subtraction right there. And you know, I'm not going to need these forms after a while. Once I've generated them, I'll get rid of them. So subtraction. And then let's go back and do the rest of them. Data, generate form. And we'll do division, finish, and then we'll do another one, data, generate form, and we'll do multiplication. There you go. And we got one more to do, and that's square root. So let's go ahead and data, generate form, and we'll put in square root. So now all these call responders have been generated for me automatically. If I go back to the source and I take a look at that, let's come up here a little bit. There they are. Now I have to go in there and program all those. But also the service calls have been generated for me as well. So if I look at these 4 calls right here, I can actually use this code basically to create all my mathematical operations. All of that automatically generated. Thank you very much, Adobe Flash Builder, for doing that for me. That certainly did save me at least an hour or 2 of coding. So let's go back to the application. Go to Design View. And now I really don't need these anymore. I can actually get rid of them. I don't need these forms, believe it or not. Just get rid of them. And hit delete. Just use that to generate the code that I needed. And all the code's still there, because I'm getting a bunch of errors because now things are missing. Methods that were being used are gone. But I actually can now come along here and start coding all this the way it needs to go. So let's do that. So what I need to do at this point is actually go back and look at the Windows calculator that I'm modeling this after and just play around with it and try to deduce what kind of constants I need and how this might work. So let's just take a few examples. Let's take 8, for example, and add to it 3 and hit equals. So very simple, but there's a few operations I need to keep in mind. First of all, I need to have a primary number, the first number I enter. Then I do a mathematical operation. So there needs to be some type of flag set for each one of these mathematical operations. So let's do a minus. And then I put in the second number. So there needs a variable for the second number. And then I have to hit an equals. So basically the program needs to know what operation I'm performing and what numbers I'm working with. So I have at least 4 variables there, and so let's take a look at what those might be. Let's go back to source view, and I'm going to actually paste in 4 variables. Let's go back to the top, and we're in the action script part of the code. And just below the import, I'm going to paste in these 4 variables. Now the first variable, that is the first number that I input into the screen. That goes in the text box. And then the math case is what mathematical operation I pressed. Did I press a minus, a plus, a subtraction, or a square root? So each one of those have to have a case. So we're going to use switch case for that. And then the second number, or next number, that's the second number I input. And finally, I need to tell this program if I've clicked equal or not. So I'm going to use the opt click, which tells me if I've clicked equal or not. Right now it's set to false, which means I haven't clicked the equal button yet. So then since it's going to reset itself every time. So let's now go down and take a look at our switch case. We actually have a switch case in the program. So at the very bottom of our action script, let's go ahead and paste in a switch case. So let's Control V. We've actually copied this from another program. And let's just examine this switch case just a little bit. This switch case works on the equals operator. So basically you don't need to know what operation you've pressed until you press equal. So you're going to type in the first number. And that's going to store in the first variable. And then the second number, and that's going to store in the next number variable. And then you're going to press equal, and equal is going to tell you which operation you pressed previously. Was it an add, was it subtract, multiplication, or division? Now guess what? We actually have another one, square roots. So I have some extra spaces here for as many operations as I want, and square root should be 1. Now I'm choosing these randomly, these cases, but I need to actually assign the number once I press onto the operation. So we'll see that in a moment. But let's go ahead and add our square roots in. So let's go back up and find that square roots code. And here it is right here, already generated for me automatically. I'm going to copy that, Control C, bring that down into the square roots place, and just paste it. And so all this code has been just automatically generated for me. This is what's so great about Adobe Flash Builder, is that I don't have to worry about creating any of this. It's been done for me automatically. And notice this is old code. The name of the operator that I want is update calculator. If I click on that, you can see here's the update calculator method right here that's going to cause that to fire. I have an old name in here, so I want to replace all those old names with the new name, because I actually copied this from another program. So let's replace these. And let's do that. And you can see these are exact same names that I'm actually pulling from the code here. So what I would have done, as opposed to copying from another code that I've already completed, I'd actually, with a different name, I'd actually just grab these code stub that's already been generated for us. Now that's already been taken into account in the switch case, we can actually get rid of all this code here. And we have our switch case. So there you have it. Whenever you press on the equal sign, you're going to have some flag set 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is going to execute this statement and actually cause a PHP to take the 2 numbers or 1 number that's been submitted and perform that mathematical operation on them. And that's how the switch case part works. So let's quickly review what we've done today. We actually went through the process of generating the service code, went to data, and went to connect data services, used the data wizard to generate the service code. Then we discussed what all the elements in that service code meant, and looked at the different classes, the superclass, and showed you how these methods paralleled what was in PHP. Then what we did, we actually used a little trick here, generate form, to actually generate automatically all the stub code that we needed to get our calculator working with the call responder. Then in the source view, we actually started taking those stub code pieces and put them into a switch case that will operate on the equal sign. I guess the core of everything is these four variables: the first number that you're going to put in, the second number you're going to put in, the operation that you're going to click on, plus, minus, equal, square root, and then if you've clicked the equal sign or not. So given those four variables, the stub code that we've generated, we're ready to start working with the actual numbers in the keypad and get all the input and output working correctly. So we'll do that next time. Thanks for listening. This was Mike Lively.